Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is going to be my final video in the lead up to the Canelo versus Triple G super fight. This time we're going to be taking a look at some of Triple G's defensive highlights, and defense is actually my favorite aspect of boxing. So with that said, let's get into the video. I hope you will like it. Okay, here we see round one begin between Gennady Golovkin and Marco Antonio Rubio, and right away we see Gennady Golovkin comes out with that conventional stance high guard where he has both hands up and his chin down, which is very important, and it's very basic boxing to keep both your hands up and your chin down. It's almost like a golden rule. So very basic stuff from here, but oftentimes a lot of boxers forget to do this. A lot of boxers will hold their hands too low even when they're throwing their punches, which will allow them to get hit unnecessarily, which will get easily fixed if they just held their hands up high and their chin tucked. Now the reason for keeping your chin tucked is so that your opponents can't hit it. Your chin is known as a weak spot, and if you tuck it down so that it's behind either your shoulders or your glove, it's going to be a much smaller target for your opponent to hit. So we move on. Keeps his hands up high, and he uses his right hands to parry jabs and basically any other punch used by his opponent's left hand, and is going to use his left hand to protect himself from punches coming from his opponent's right hand. Basic boxing again. So he picks off his opponent's jab. Stays defensively responsible, keeps both his hands up. So he's going to fade from that body jab by Rubio. So now he's keeping his distance correct so that he could fade from shots as well as block them. And we're going to see here Golovkin's going to throw a jab to test Rubio, but watch what he does. Okay, so right here, Golovkin throws the jab, but he simultaneously slips to the outside as he's throwing it. This is because in conventional versus conventional, or orthodox versus orthodox boxing matches, usually when your opponent throws a jab, the likely counter is to simply just parry it and throw a jab of your own. So Golovkin knows this and is going to slip to the outside automatically so that he can avoid the counter of Rubio. And there's the jab. So Golovkin stays defensively responsible by slipping at the same time. So right here, Golovkin's going to use his lead hand to probe Rubio's jab, or probe Rubio's defense, to see if he could bait out a counter from Rubio. So he's going to flash it again, and this time Rubio tries to counter it with a jab of his own, but Golovkin, keeping proper distance between him and his opponent, is able to fade away from this jab. Now there's a saying that goes that every great offense has a built-in defense. Here we see Golovkin shoots a jab to Rubio's face, but we also see that as he throws the jab, he continues to keep his chin tucked, but he also raises his left shoulder as he shoots the jab to protect his chin from an overhand right from Rubio that he might throw as a counter. But more importantly, he also keeps his right hand up to protect himself against a left hand counter, either being a jab or a left hook from Rubio. So he stays defensively responsible as he throws his jab. And then, just as an extra precautionary measure, he also slips to the outside after he throws the jab, just in case Rubio would come back. Okay, so here we see Golovkin miss with a jab, and what is he going to do afterwards to prevent himself from getting countered? Well, Golovkin knows that since he missed this punch, he is now in a counterable position from Rubio. So what is Golovkin going to do? Golovkin understands that if he smothers his opponent, he won't be able to get hit, because after all, distance is defense. Distance should always be your first line of defense, since, as I always say, if you're not there to be hit, then you won't be hit. But not only that, he also uses his left hand to control Rubio's right glove. So now Rubio is unable to hit Golovkin with his right glove, leaving only his left hand. So what does Golovkin do? You notice that Golovkin his head is actually leaning to his left side, or onto Rubio's right side, which would put him further away from Rubio's left hand. This makes Golovkin far enough from Rubio's left hand to not be able to get hit. After all, he is smothering and controlling Rubio's right hand, so therefore Golovkin's essentially unable to be hit at this time. And then you see Rubio come over with the left hook, which Golovkin's able to evade by smothering Rubio, because as I always say, distance is defense. And he continues to smother him until they reset. So you're going to see that he misses the jab, and is going to immediately smother Rubio and control his right hand.
It's in a better shot. So they exchanged some really good body shots in that last exchange. Oh, hard uppercut by Golovkin. Momentarily wobbled Rubio. Now he's got him pinned against the ropes. Let's see how he varies here. Predator at work. Down goes Rubio.
So that whole sequence we just saw of Golovkin getting a knockdown against Rubio actually started with this right uppercut right here. But how he landed this uppercut by setting it up is actually pretty interesting. So let's break down how that happened. Okay, so right away we see Golovkin smother Rubio as a form of defense. Because after all, we know that distance is defense, and you could either be too far or too close to be hit. And if you are either too far or too close, then you won't get hit. It's as simple as that. But not only that, Golovkin, since his head is on the outside, he can't really see Rubio's right hand. So what he's going to do is he's going to use his elbow and forearm to pin Rubio's right hand against his chest, therefore eliminating his use of the right hand. So if he controls his opponent's hands, he won't be able to get hit by them. It's as simple as that. If you control your opponent's gloves, if you just control your opponent at all, they won't be able to use their gloves to attack you. So now he's going to push off while controlling Rubio's right hand. So now you can see Rubio, and he's going to launch what's going to look like a tap left hook. Now this left hook, as I mentioned in my other video with Golovkin, is actually just a tap left hook, which is used to set up the left hook from Rubio. And from here, Golovkin's able to land the uppercut, because uppercuts work as excellent counters to hooks. So now he uses this left hook to bait out a counter left hook from Rubio, because typically at close range, hooks tend to be traded as they are reliable counters to each other. But here, Golovkin actually uses this to set up a trap by getting Rubio to counter with the hook, only so that Golovkin can counter Rubio's counter with an uppercut, which lands there. And then he simply just goes to finish him.
GGG does his best work. Exactly.
Okay, let's break down what we just saw there. So here Golovkin steps in and lands a left hook right to Jacobs' body. So Jacobs is going to come back and try to counter Golovkin. So let's see what happens. Golovkin understands that since he came over and threw the left hook over to Jacobs' right side, he is actually, you can't even really see it here, but he's actually using his left glove to control Jacobs' right glove. So now Jacobs is really only left with his left hand to try to come back and hit Golovkin with, which Golovkin is also moving away from by circling out to his left. So we're going to see. So now Golovkin covers up, knowing that Jacobs could really only hit him with his left hand. So he's going to block that left hand. That left hand is going to come around behind the head, which is not a scoring shot. And then Golovkin's going to block this shot to the body. But what he does here is very important. Golovkin understands that he can't really come back and attack Jacobs since he is stuck in a high guard position. So what does he do? He's going to duck that left hand. And right there is really important. Golovkin remembers that he's not paralyzed from the waist down and actually uses his feet to get away from Jacobs. This is something that when for up and coming fighters, when the adrenaline is high, they start to forget what their basic fundamentals are, and they oftentimes try to block and slip all the shots that are coming at them. But like I said before, distance should always be your first line of defense. So if you're too far or too close to be hit, then you won't be hit. Alright, that's all I got time for this one. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I certainly had a lot of fun making this series of boxing breakdowns for the upcoming fight. I'm super pumped up for this fight this Saturday. Let me know who you have in the comments below, and I'll see you after the fight. Thanks for watching.